have no idea what a day in the life of an author looks like. I know what a day in the life of a very busy person trying to squeeze in a little bit of writing looks like. So I've done it differently over the years. Before I had children, I wrote in the evening. Once you have children, the evenings are when you lie down and recover from how awful your life is. So I don't write in the evenings anymore. I now try and fit it in as part of my to-do list. And this is what I tell people, there is no muse, the muse is dead. You've got to just fit it in. So you've got to go send an email, go to a meeting, write 500 words, go to another meeting, tick, 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 and just in that time you've got, you write. I say all this. Have I written a word this week? No. But what does the day in the life of an author look like? It looks great on the days you manage to write. And every day that you don't manage to write, you just feel like a great big disappointment to yourself. It's sad. I don't know how to answer this, partly because I don't really have a functional memory. So when I listen to those parts, it's like I'm hearing it for the first time. And sometimes I'll react, and then I'll hear myself reacting like the reaction that I'm having anew, afresh. I'll go, oh, that's interesting, and then I'll hear my voice going, oh, that's interesting, like I've forgotten it completely. But I think overall, what's been fascinating is everybody's process is different. There's so many different ways to do this. There's so many different ways to be a writer. So it's kind of encouraged me, it's okay if you change. It's okay if something's not working for you anymore. And then the other thing I found fascinating is you make a lot of assumptions about a person based on their writing. And then when you meet them, a lot of those assumptions are completely wrong. You can't judge the character based on the writing. Sometimes you can, but on the whole you can't. And that can lead to that whole debate about separating the artist and the art, and we won't go there. But it's been very interesting to me. And on the whole, doing that podcast is having your fantasy dinner party again and again and again. And you can ask them anything because they're there to answer questions. So instead of I'm very bad at, when I meet someone, I'll think, oh, I wish I knew, no, but I won't ask them. And on the podcast, I can just ask them. Well, I mean, it's not secret then. One of my hidden secrets, it's not a secret, I tell people the whole time, but nobody believes me. I'm very, very lazy. And it's also my superpower. My laziness leads me to all sorts of things because I'm not going to do something twice. So these people who write draft after draft after draft, nice for you. I'm going to do it right the first time because I'm far too lazy to do it again. So in a way, it's a superpower. And I think being lazy, overall, it makes you do things right the first time. So that's the one. The other thing is, like we talked about earlier about everybody's got something going on. I'm falling apart. I am completely falling apart behind the scenes. And what you see, like, oh, she's published another book and she's got a lovely day job and she's got these nice children. I'm falling apart, just like everybody else. Writing with someone, first of all, is much more fun than I ever thought it would be. So before I'd done collaborative projects, I thought that the thing I loved about writing, I'm an introvert, I thought the thing I loved about writing was that I do it on my own and I don't have to work with people. I don't have to compromise and all those things that, like in a corporate setting, you get. But actually it turns out writing with people is the best fun that you can have. So Kate and I bounce off each other. We also the hidden secret of Kate and Gail is we do not have a functioning memory between the two of us. We forget who we've murdered, we forget who the murderer was, we forget what our notes mean, we write what we think are really detailed notes about where the plot's going. Neither of us will understand those notes 2 days later. So it's often a very confusing process, but it's exciting and it's fun, and definitely you come to a place that you will never, ever come to alone. I could not write a cozy mystery alone. I think Kate maybe could, I couldn't. So you produce something entirely new. So because of the podcast, I've got to have a lot of those coffees, especially obviously the South African ones. I now have, I can't even call it a job, I now have a hobby that Fiona enables me to have, where I can go, Fiona, let's invite so-and-so, I want to talk to them, and we do. So I think what I would love is I'm fascinated by those international big success stories in the genre I write. So I'd love to meet Leanne Moriarty, who's what I want to be. She for Australia is what I want to be for South Africa. I'd love to meet Lisa Jewell. I'd love to meet those people who have managed to do what I do, but more successfully. Is that the saddest thing I've ever heard said? But there it is. I'd love to know, how did they do it? And what does it feel like? But maybe one day I'll be able to tell you. I'm pleased to be able to say, because I can't always say this, that it's a very South African to be read pile at the moment, which is lovely and exciting. We've got such amazing things coming out. So I've got Sven Axelrad's new book, his second book, God's Pocket. I've got Shabnam Khan's new book that I cannot for the life of me ever remember the title of, but I'm very excited about that. I have got Amy Haydenrich's new book, Bad Luck Penny, and that I'm very excited to read. And then I've also been neglecting my book club reading, and I have a nice eclectic book club, and I've taken for the last few months John Boyne's new book, Water, which is a more serious book than his last book, The Echo Chamber, which is the funniest book ever written in the English language. And I know this is going to be very different, and because of that I keep taking it and then not reading it. And then the final book that I want to mention I actually have read, but I've read it, nobody else has read it because it's very new, and I want to mention it, which is Carnita Loxton's new book, What's Wrong with June. Put it on your to-be-read pile because it's fabulous.